We earned this whiskey.
That is absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Well, Amanda, thank you for joining, for coming on board with Virginia Distilling. Where exactly are you calling in from today?
I'm at the distillery. I'm up in what we call the whiskey war room, overlooking the copper pot stills behind me.
Okay, terrific. And how long have you been with the company for?
10.5 years.
Yeah, okay.
Crazy,
There's
right?
there is not a lot there that you don't know exactly about what's happening.
I mean, they keep me on my toes. Every day is an
Yep.
adventure, but yes.
Well, good. Well, welcome. Just, thanks for those of you who are joining on. We featured Virginia Distilling this past December with our intro and our Explorer Clubs. And then we also did a special co-promotion featuring their Draftsmen Kits, which we will showcase later on, which is honestly a unique product. And I really think if you haven't won awards for it already, you guys should honestly be winning awards. It's such a cool concept. I don't see anyone else even trying to do. So kudos to you guys. And we'll get into that a little bit later. In the meantime, let's get kicked off. So the question I like to start off with, Amanda, is we've all sat around a campfire. Everyone's sitting around going, you know what? We should make our own whiskey. And it never happens. It never leaves the campfire. Everyone's got a great idea. But clearly, you guys went the extra step and made it happen. So can you talk to a little bit about the company origin story? And then let's transition to how you came on board since you've been on almost since the beginning.
Yeah, we do trace it back to a group of friends who really enjoyed drinking whiskey when they hung out together. Our founder is Dr. George Moore, and he was an Irishman who loved single malt whiskeys. And when he was drinking them, there weren't American single malts. There were plenty of good Scottish single malts, and then of course he liked his Irish pot still whiskeys. So we're kind of this dream come to life over the past, honestly, 20 years. Where he and his friends found this little startup right here in the rolling mountains, the foothills of the Blue Ridge. And the idea was single malt from the beginning. So they started really building things and installing the stills back in 2007. He passed away in 2013, sadly,
Wow.
and I didn't come on board until 2015. So
Okay.
it was in steps along the way,
Yeah.
but we've been distilling and aging our own whiskey for over a decade, and it's been really exciting to see different creative sparks come and then turn into actual reality.
This category of American single malt, he must have been relatively the forefront. I mean, obviously, it's a little more popular now. And when did the designation get officially created? That's also relatively new, right?
Yes,
Okay.
so that was just last year.
Last
It's
year,
all
okay, I
been
thought it
like
was.
a
I thought it was very
huge
recently.
thing for
Yeah.
us. Yeah, we knew it was going to happen the year before, but it was a really long time waiting. So we credit McCarthy's as the first American single malt. But for us, we were founding members of the American Single Malt Commission. We were all banding together trying to establish the actual criteria for what an American single malt would be. So it was a decade plus of just all working together, advocating for this. And so,
So you
yeah.
guys had a seat at the table when that was going through.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of us met together and continued to meet for years. And we still do meet. I mean, now we've achieved our ultimate goal, but there's still education that needs to happen. So it's still a journey.
So other than having, a nice certificate and being part of that process, can you talk a little bit like what does that mean to you guys? So to have that designation, that American Single Malt official name and the things that come along with it, what importance does that give to you guys, and how does that affect what you guys are doing now?
Oh, it's huge. It protects the whiskey fans, the drinkers, so they know when they see American single malt
Ah,
label, they'll know what they're getting. They'll know very clearly, yes, the mash bill is 100% malted barley. Yes, it's distilled at a single location. It's aged at a single location. Like there's that provenance.
yeah.
But also it gives us space. It gives us space on a liquor store shelf. It gives us clarity. It
Right.
gives us more cred on an international scale. So this has been something that it's a huge tool for us, especially if we're talking to a big liquor store chain and saying like, this is what we're looking for,
Yeah.
an American single malt section. So when people want to buy us, they know where to go and they don't have to hunt through, maybe it's in Scotch, maybe it's in world whiskeys. No, it's in American whiskeys hiding under other, it's really great to finally have progress.
Hey, it's a really great point because the American Single Malt is distinct, right? And it's definitely not a bourbon, right? If you're looking for a bourbon, you find American Single Malt, you'd be very confused. Even other whiskeys, right? So having that designation, so it's not just another label on the shelf, amongst the sea is very helpful. Can you rattle off what are the rules for the American single malt to qualify?
Yes. So what surprises a lot of people is the single literally refers to a single location. So yes, part of the criteria is 100% malted barley,
Okay.
distilled and aged at a single location. We even bottle at a single location, so you really get that. There are some standard things that fall into all whiskey or American whiskey categories. So aged in oak vessels no greater than 700 liters. The real question was age limit. In Scotland, 3 years plus. But in the United States, we already have some subcategory standards, so we know what a straight whiskey is. We know bottled and bond is at least 4 years, so we didn't go for that, and that was kind of to give space to other American single malt distillers who have a more challenging maturation climate than ours. Sure. So on our labels, we say aged a minimum of 3 years, and we always have, I believe, but I haven't bottled anything under 6 for years.
Okay.
But say your Balcones down in Texas, they have a 1 loud and proud on their Balcones Texas 1, and that's because it's a different maturation environment. So no age requirements there, but there is the strength that of course falls in standard, and the proof can't be any lower than 40% as well.
Talking about the climate in Virginia now, you guys have pretty good weather, right? So you probably get 4 to 6 seasons per year, I think, probably in Virginia. It's not quite far up north, but it's not quite as south as Texas. So
we're incredibly dynamic, and one thing that I had to learn very quickly was we're a subtropical climate here, which I grew up in Virginia. I was born here, and I didn't think we were subtropical.
I wouldn't have thought subtropical, no.
Yeah, so that means a lot of humidity, which is a big factor for us, and also huge swings. So I've had days where it was 75, I was in a t-shirt, and the next day it snowed. So our barrels get quite the workout, and our whiskey takes on a lot of color and flavor and depth very naturally, very quickly. But we also have pretty high evaporation rates because of that intense.
Another good reason not to have age requirements, right? Because again, you guys are moving, things in and out so quickly. Sometimes you might get there. Whereas, in Scotland, you need the time because of the temperature. It's not moving in and out quite so much. But here, I'm in Atlanta, so I understand the variation of weather. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. It's not a level playing field. So 1 year in Virginia can easily be equal to 4 or 6 years of aging in Scotland.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to be like, oh yeah, older is better, but not really.
I wish there was a phrase for it, because it's not necessarily older is better, but you need the motion, you need the in and out. How many rotations have you done through a barrel, like that cycle? I wish there was a way to sort of like, it's almost like how many seasons have you gone through? Oh, we went through 5 seasons, we went through 6 rotations. Oh, that might have only been 2 years, but you got the same in and out of that process. So I wish there was I'm gonna coin that. I'm gonna go get that on a plaque somewhere.
We got pretty geeky, and we work with a company called Barrel Sense. So we have sensors placed throughout our cask house, and we're tracking everything from temperature, thermal banding, humidity pockets. We're actually able to see even when a barrel might spring a leak because the ABV jumps up in the air. And so we do track those little windows, and we are able to see the temperature rising to a certain extent where we know that at that point it is expansion versus contraction. But there's a lot. Yeah.
Would you put your distillery? So I love hearing about distillery tech, because some distilleries are very we like to go old school, right? We want to do all old school, all. Other ones are like, hey, the technology's here and it makes us smarter and faster. So where would you say you guys fall?
Ooh, we love technology. We love tools. I think I use them to be predictive. I like to use them to make myself smarter and to make things easier, but also I'm a romantic, and that does mean doing some things very old school, or at least knowing how to do them and taking the time to do that exercise. Yeah. So yeah, one person can run everything behind me on, mashing, fermentation, distillation, all at once. They can.
Now, man, I don't know if you actually introduced yourself for what your role is. So it's just how do you give your background and what you do there?
Yeah, I'm the director of liquid development, so I do not distill. We have incredible distillers to do that. Once the whiskey comes off as new make off the spirit safe and goes into the cask, it's mine. So I agree on the proof point for cask entry, and then I oversee as the casks age I do the selection, the blending, the reduction, all the way onto the bottling line, and then I let go again.
Director of Liquid Development is quite possibly the coolest name I've heard in a while.
They were asking me, like, what can we do that covers it all? I was like, well,
Liquid Development.
I'm talking about barrels and ordering barrels. What is that? So
it's liquid development. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. There's business development. I'm on liquid development. So yeah.
Exactly.
So we've talked a little bit about the American Single Malt evolution. So talk to me about what makes you guys stand out, because as we already discussed, right, the whiskey aisle is crowded. And even if you get an American Single Malt, which again, most liquor stores won't have that yet, but if you get the American Single Malt section set up, there's still going to be a bunch of people there. So what makes Virginia Distilling as a portfolio stand out in the market?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about the single malts, because they deliver a distinct sense of place and they have so much room for creativity. So for us, we have our house style. So there is a level of, I know what I'm getting when I reach for this bottle. We're always about quality, nuance. Orchard fruit and spice is, if I'm narrowing it down, but really we get to play. So we make the same distillate coming off our copper pot stills. It goes into so many different casks. That's where a lot of flavor development happens. And there's so much experimentation too. So we have two main lines. We have Courage and Conviction, which is all about primary maturation in a select few styles of casks. We have our VDC line, which is more playful. It's cask finishing. So it ages in ex-bourbon barrels for 4 or 5 years, sometimes more. And then it spends 1+ years typically in other casks. And we have our Brewers Coalition. We just really have a lot of fun. So there's flavor for days. There's a real respect for the malts, which I think is really crucial. And you won't find a lot of new oak with us. There are plenty of gorgeous whiskeys aged in new charred oak. One of my favorite things about American Single Malt is it does not need that. So we get to think about things like sustainability and really making sure the casks fit the barley and our house style.
Talk about how you match a cask to the barley. Talk to me about that. I've never heard that before. Talk about how that plays up.
Yes. So for me, barley is about the malty, toasty, rich character, and it plays really well with select orchard fruit notes that we focus on developing in fermentation. So we actually use 2 yeast strains. One of them is just about the conversion, but the other one is to help develop more of those esters that we really like. Yeah. So when I'm pairing the casks with the new make, I'm thinking about how to enhance and support those notes in particular. And so I don't want to be very aggressive typically, so that's why I personally will avoid a lot of new oak, because that can be a real smack of aggressive tannins over a more delicate barley. Got
it. So let's talk about your lines. So I liked how you described the Virginia line as playful. But that was pretty fun. Talk about you mentioned the Brewers Coalition. Can you talk a little about that?
Yes. So Brewers Coalition is a spin-off of our VDC line. It's typically treated like bottled and bond, so you'll see almost always 100 proof. Occasionally there's some special cask strength small batch or even single casks that roll out, because sometimes I'll just feel like this is the proof it needs to be. And then it's all about finding really good brewery partners. And typically one of those common denominators is the barley. So I go for a lot of stouts, sometimes some porters or English ales, something that has a good match. And these are beers that are traditionally aging in used whiskey barrels. So often they'll come from us. And so it's a real symbiotic relationship of, I'll give you my freshly dumped whiskey barrels, I'll take your freshly dumped beer casks, and we'll both do a release. And so
it goes whiskey barrel, it goes to the brewery where they store their stout or whatever in it for 45 days, 60 days?
Some places like Goose is sitting on some of our barrels for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then those barrels come back to you, yes. And then you'll age or you'll finish in those barrels? Finish. Okay.
If it's the Brewers Coalition line, part of BDC, it's all about cask finishing. And so the first life of that whiskey, it's aging in ex-bourbon barrels to create those gentle vanillins and tannins. I want that structure and balance already in the whiskey, so then I can dial in the final flavor. I don't want it to be a beer bomb. I need it to be whiskey enhanced by beer casks.
So are these single barrel releases, or are they small batch, or how do you usually do those?
It depends. So, for example, 2 years ago, I did a gingerbread stout cask release. It was a lot of fun. It was one of my favorite beers from a local place, Hardywood in Richmond, Virginia. And so I did a pretty big swap with them because they needed a lot of barrels. And I was like, you know what, I can break this up over a couple Christmases and experiment with longer finishing. And so our first release turned from 10 barrels to 20 to no, let's do all 40. So that's one of our biggest ones. The Hardywood Gingerbread Stout is an annual Christmas release.
That's cool.
Our Goose Island is on an annual release, but sometimes it'll be as small as 4 barrels, so a small batch. And I have split up a couple. I just did Central Waters, and so there were a handful that I just thought these are really cool as single casks, and the brewery wanted their own. So absolutely, I will set aside a barrel for you at Cask to enjoy.
Are those released only at the distillery? Do you do distribution on those? Okay, you do
yeah, they're typically in at least 25 to 30, 35 states.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so we get out there. Okay.
Yeah, if it's a really small release, then it might be harder to find. Like we did Boulevard, Proper Pour. That was a lot of fun. And that was more based around the Midwest. So, if you're not in Kansas City or Missouri, or Kansas,
Yeah. The since you were mentioning other different alcohol brands, have you guys done anything with non-alcoholic beers or non-beer products?
Ooh, for non-alc, we actually, for Virginia, we were asked to create a seltzer. So we did a very low ABV for them. Let's see.
But even, I guess, like sending, I'm understanding more about the space a little bit. Like, would they ever take a used whiskey barrel to do a flavoring on a non-alcoholic product? Like, it doesn't impart any alcohol into it, but would they ever use the flavoring for a non-alcoholic beer? Has that discussion's ever come up?
Not for non-alc beer yet. No, that could be more challenging considering the style, and you typically want higher alcohol content for maturation.
Got it.
Just for the integrity of the product. Otherwise, you're going to need to, put preservatives in and all sorts of stuff.
That kind of ruins the whole the whole play. Talk to me about Courage and Conviction. I love the name. It's a powerful brand name. And it's a mouthful, but it definitely lays it out there. So talk to me about that extension.
Yes. So we have been distilling and aging our whiskey for quite a few years, and we already had our VDC line out. And we had an idea, actually it's what I'm drinking right now, this one right here. We had an idea of what we wanted it to be, and it was going to be a blend of our single malt aged in 3 different cask types, ex-bourbon, sherry, and these cuvee red wine casks. And so we had this idea. I'd been working on it, we'd prototyped, I have a whole sensory panel, we'd sat down, we felt like it was showing really beautifully, ready to roll, and the pandemic hit. And we were just like, should we do this? Should we not? I don't know. And the thing that kept resonating with all of us was, even though George Moore passed away, he would always say, have the courage of your convictions and just do it. And so our brand director at the time said, let's name the whiskey after that. Let's call it Courage and Conviction, and let's do a release. So I blended 37 casks together and rolled it out, and it sold out almost immediately, won a lot of awards. And so then we were like, all right, we're off to the races, let's do this.
All right, so let's get Courage and Conviction.
Yep. April 2020 was the full-on release, and we have kept it going ever since then. And the next year we rolled out line extensions that were the whiskey aged in just the ex-bourbon, just that cuvee, and just the sherry casks.
I know it's not about what's on the inside, but the bottle itself is also beautiful. I love it too. First of all, I'm a packaging nerd, so I love it. But it's got this nice squared bottom, which I think is you're looking at these that stand out. I think the bottle design is terrific, and I love the kind of the medallion on it. It's very high end pieces. So talk me through. I mean, I'm already getting a lot of like the citrusy notes come off the
Yes.
top. I'm smelling like green apple, pineapple, kind of like
Oh,
a
yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. And those notes really do start in fermentation. And I think they get enhanced even more aging in the ex-bourbon barrels because it is more of a gentle maturation there. So yeah, roughly 50% of this whiskey is aged in ex-bourbon barrels. So those soft fruit notes, I get pear, I get green
Mhm.
apple, I absolutely get the pineapple. Then
Yeah.
I start to get more citrus, like that pithy orange note comes through. And then the red berries from the cuvee casks. It's like soft, dark cocoa into the nuttier notes on the very back. So it's like a whole journey. And that's kind of my point of view as a blender. I don't want it to be the exact same aroma, exact same palette, exact same finish. Like I want it to be a cohesive story that opens and pulls you through.
And as a person who came up on Scotch first, and then got more into American whiskey and bourbon, kind of going back to the barley and the malt, like the single malt kind of approach. It's such a refreshing taste, right? And it has that sort of nice blend between the American whiskey, that kind of fullness, right? It's not the thin, not the peaty Scotch kind of stuff, but it's that American fullness wrapped around the barley taste. I can really, it's a nice marriage, it's a nice blend, which I do appreciate as its own distinction.
Absolutely. Yeah, it never gets old for me. Like just how much depth there is in single malt whiskey, and this will open up for hours. I will walk around with it and start getting milk chocolate after 20 to 30 minutes,
Okay.
and just like that keeps driving forward. And then it's like, where did this butterscotch come from? And then all this ginger on the finish. It's yeah.
Yeah, the team sent me these bottles. So see, we did this in December. So they sent me the bottles back in I think October. And so it was a great opportunity to like sit down. It was starting to get a little cool here. So I've already gone through half the bottle on my own, in my very extensive tasting process. That has a no points other than does it work or not? Do I think the people are going to like it? Um, and I remember sitting outside by the fire. We have a fire pit. Sit out there and just kind of like nosing through the bottles that were sent to sort of try it out. And again, the crispness in sort of that sort of fall atmosphere really hit for me. So I think that's what for me it's where it kind of sits in my brain.
I agree. It does feel autumnal for me, but
Hmm.
then if I pair it, at different times, spring, summer, winter, it all works. I feel like I have a whiskey for every occasion, and that's kind of my goal.
That's what you need, a whiskey for every occasion. That's
Every day of the week,
every day,
every
every day of the
week of the
week, every
month.
part of the day, the morning, the middle, the evening.
I do have a breakfast whiskey,
Do
and
you?
sometimes I do. And I do breakfast for dinner. I love waffles, so I'll do like a whole thing. And we do a coffee cask finished whiskey. And I love
Okay.
it so much. It's just, yeah, it's my go-to for breakfast for dinner.
That is a great option. Waffles with chocolate finish, sorry, with coffee
Coffee
finish,
finish,
coffee
yeah.
finish.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and this is just over 46% ABV, so
Hmm.
like you can definitely add water, open it up more, but I like it at this
Yeah,
stage.
it moves fast, right? It's not lingering for a long time. It hits, has a spike. I can feel all the malted barley, and then it kind of fades, leaving you wanting more, right? It's got that nice kind of dry quality that makes you want to come back into it.
Yeah, and I'm getting like a lot of honeyed apricot now, which is just like
Hmm.
a little soft lingering thing. It just, yeah,
Yeah.
it dissipates and you're like ready for my next sip.
All right. So now, so that was the bottle that we did for our Explorer Club. So again, for PourMore, we have our intro level club for whiskey. We have an Explorer Club, and then we have our Enthusiast Club. And so this Courage and Conviction signature bottle was the one we did for the Explorer Club, right in the middle. Let's go to our intro club, which was the Virginia Distilling Cabernet finish, right? Cabernet.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. So this is from our other line, which we just call VDC or Virginia Distillery Company. And this is the more playful line that I talked about. So the whiskey is still all about really robust, decadent flavors, There's also a lot of inspiration that I take from both the old world and the new style of, whatever it is. So in this case, I used true Bordeaux Cabernet Sauvignon casks. And then also, yes, from the Alexander Valley in California, some beautiful Cabernet casks.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
different style. So you get the nutty, oxidized leather, chocolatey from the old world, and then you get the citrus and bright red berries from California. And having extra tools at my fingertips to develop flavor is what I'm all about. So it took me years to settle on finding the perfect Cabernet casks. And I really love this one. This is one of my dessert whiskeys that I'll pair with like dark
Are
chocolate.
you a big wine fan?
I am. I love wine. I love the actual labor that goes into it. I have so much respect for that and the history and pairing it with food. So I'm very picky about wine casks, ridiculously picky, but I love it. So I think
I need to hear more about this. Talk to me about your picky process going through a wine cask.
Well, I mean, you have to really know the winemakers or the cooperages where you're getting these casks from. They need to be fresh. I will pay extra to keep the casks really hydrated. And that's important because you don't want drying out staves that are going to leak, and you also don't want contamination. And then I like to be able to dump right when I get the casks and do a little analysis on the wine so I really understand it and make sure that it was good. I do not like sulfur. And so that's a real relationship piece that I have to constantly say, no sulfur. And there have been times where I got casks, and I always do a little sensory when they arrive. I take the bungs out, stick my nose in there, and make sure. And I will not put good whiskey into, casks that have been sulfured, sadly. So, yeah.
When you say sulfur, is that part of the ingredients that went in with the wine, or is that something that was used as a preservative, or like what? How does sulfur get in?
Sometimes even local wineries will use sulfur candles to clean out or keep their barrel good so they can reuse it. It's a very common thing in the wine world to add sulfur in different ways, just as a preservative in a sense.
Sure.
So, it's not great for whiskey that would just soak it up. So.
And when you say a nice hydrated cask, is that about keeping it in like a humidified environment, or literally keeping water in? Like, how do you keep it?
Keeping the liquid in the state. Yes. So I don't want empty barrels being shipped to me unless they're like new oak. So whatever it was, whether it was a port cask from Portugal or a Cabernet Sauvignon cask from France, I want it shipped across the ocean with a hefty percentage of that fortified wine, regular wine, whatever it was, brandy.
Still in it.
Yep.
So how does a winery do that? So they know they're going to send you the barrel, and so they won't take all the wine out. They'll pull out a half cask of it to sell, and then they'll keep the rest of it in there, sort of to help coat and keep it sent as it sends over.
Often, yes. And they have a whole maintenance thing they'll do, so they know dump it this much, leave 18%, 15% liquid in, hit it with CO2, bung it up tight, do a wrap, ship it.
Oh, sure. So hit it with CO2 to stop oxidation, wrap it to keep anything else from getting inside and just preserving that moment, and then send it over. So it's sort of sloshing as it comes over, but even so, it's preserving because of all the CO2.
Yes. There have been cases where they have what they call maintenance liquid put in. So say it's coming from a sherry bodega or, it depends where, but they might not put they might almost completely empty out what was in there and then put in something that's comparable, but they need it for something else. But they'll let me know and I'll get like a little certificate with that information. So I'll go, okay, I understand what this liquid is. I understand what was in there before. I trust you. I'm still going to do my QC to make sure, but yes.
You're not picky. You're just exacting. That's yes.
Meticulous.
Yes, even meticulous. Yeah. I like that. You know how it plays. And I think knowing things like sulfur kills the whiskey, that's a really important thing to be like, hey, don't send me that.
Yeah.
So this one to me was, I got that same sort of like citrusy kind of note, but I also got a little bit more like, I want to say like a cookie, like a ginger cookie kind of quality for me.
Candy ginger for sure.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
I'm really fond of ginger, and one of our mentor distillers, Andrew Shand, he was on site for the first year we were distilling, kind of overseeing everything. And he was literally born at Longmorn Distillery in Scotland. And whenever he was really pleased with me, he'd say, "Here, have a ginger," and he'd keep them in his drawer. So like I equated our first whiskeys with ginger, and like every time something was good, it's kind of like a subconscious thing.
It's almost Pavlovian at this point. You're like, oh, wow.
The bell rings, I salivate.
So we have the Cabernet cask here. Talk about some of the other ones that are in the VDC lineup.
Yes. So our very first one was a port cask finish, and old world, new world point of view. I used 2 tawny and ruby ports from Portugal. And then I also found some local Virginia wineries doing a port style dessert wine. And they even will use some of the same grape varietals as they will in Portugal, which I love. Yeah. And so I would absolutely do trades with them, use some of those. And they're so fresh because they're just a few miles away. Yeah. And I love that. Same thing, we have a cider cask finish, which started out as an experiment back in 2017 or late 2016. And it's just been so fun to use Calvados casks from Normandy, France, and then local apple cider that's just stunning as well. So, yeah. And I will trade those casks as well. So we use Buskey Cidery in Richmond, Potter's Cider right here in Charlottesville. It's just really fascinating to see what's being done locally. So.
That's so fun. I feel like I love the partnership aspect of what you guys are doing, right? You're able to work within an ecosystem, both like tangential and otherwise. I mean, this whole industry is about community building and experimentation and finding ways to play together. So I love that you guys are building those, because some people are very insular, and I like that you guys are very out there and building friends. Yes.
I feel like it's made us as a distillery so much richer having these relationships just down the street with breweries, cideries, wineries, and other distilleries, because, you know, we don't make a rye or a bourbon, and it's great to get some local casks, but also sometimes they want our casks or want to, you know, get our insight on something. So I think rising tide lifts all ships.
That's right. That's right. All right, we've got one more. I have the special one you guys sent to me, which is the Cuvée cask, which is in this monster tank of a tube, which again, as a packaging nerd, love it.
I get no credit for what's outside.
And what I also love about the other one, which is nice, it's the pop top, right? The kind you expect, but this one is this very nice
single cask. So at natural cask, right? Yeah. So for our signature whiskey, about 25% of it is aged in those red wine casks that are shaved, toasted, charred. All from Europe. It might be France, Spain, Portugal. And sometimes I'll find a honey cask and think, this one, I want to bottle it exactly like this. I can't just magically fly everybody to the distillery to hang out with me in the cask house, but this is the next best thing. And I love these casks. We call them Cuvée as a nod to the first run of a premium Spanish wine. Okay. But a lot of people call them STR for shaved, toast, char, recouper. And the idea is you're getting a balance between the wood sugars in the staves and the red fruit from the wine. And between the different varietals, the different locations, different countries, no 2 casks are the same. It is one of my most challenging whiskeys to blend, but I really love it. I always get red fruit, but it might be blood orange, or it might be tart cherry, strawberry, it could be violets. And I always get chocolate, but it could be dry, earthy cocoa or mocha, or it might be like milk chocolate ganache.
Yeah, I found this one distinctly different from the first 2, which was that they both had that note, and I haven't drank it yet here, but they both had that sort of citrusy start, right, kind of high. And this one came in way more on that deep end, way more kind of a little bit more on, to me, a little bit more kind of closer to the whiskey style, the bourbon style, kind of the sweet, the red fruit kind of stuff, but you know, that distinct barley taste on top of it.
Oh yes, yeah. I love finding these because my goal with a single cask is to make sure that it's going to show well whatever ABV you want it. So you can absolutely have it on the rocks. You can add a decent amount of water, but I like it at that natural cask strength, and I am going to drink it that way.
Yep, I love a natural caster. So when you say natural caster, you mean straight from the barrel, no water down? Okay.
No water at all. But we were talking about the humidity and the subtropical climate. Take a look at that ABV, and I guarantee you it is not the entry. The entry proof would have been 62.5. Okay. So if you look at it, it's definitely not that high.
Mine's 59.2.
Yes. So over the years, as the whiskey is being breathed into the cask and out, we have alcohol evaporating
Hmm.
and we have water vapor being pulled in. So we have natural cask reduction here in Virginia. Very different than, say, Texas or India or, anywhere it's much drier and arid.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Is there a lot of distillery activity in Virginia? I mean, I feel like you guys are a great climate for it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, historically, even bourbon originated here. Kentucky wasn't even a state.
I don't think I
Yeah.
knew that. Okay.
Yes, yeah. It was, the Virginia and Tennessee territories went way west. And so, yes, there's a decent amount. We have A. Smith Bowman, we have Rag and Branch, Silverback. There's a handful of whiskey distilleries. Virago does some really cool rum. Got Mount Defiance, Reservoir, Ironclad. They're all doing whiskeys too. So we're rare because single malts, but
Yes.
quite a bit of decent and enjoyable
Yeah.
rice bourbons here.
So with the ABV at 59, right? So it's just short of 120 proof. How high will this one go on different? They all vary, but how high have you seen this go?
Whew, the highest I've ever seen, because I almost have never seen proof rise in our cask houses. We have two metal clads, and we had a dunnage style that has now been converted into our bottling house. And we saw a much more proof drop in that dunnage style because it was literally built into a hillside, so way more humid. We have microclimates inside our cask houses. So the one that gets the most direct sunlight, there is a section where we had some port casks that showed a little bit of proof rise. And the highest I found was 63.4 and
Okay.
a note of it. But that is the record for us. Typically after, 6 to 10 years of aging, our average ABV is 59%.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how many rick houses do you guys have?
We have two.
Two.
Yeah, we palletize, so they each hold about 6,000 casks.
So if I had to ask you, where is the honey spot? Is there a spot where you're like, every time these barrels here make it happen?
I feel like there are different honey spots for different casks,
Yeah.
and I don't even palletize all of them. I do have racks for specific ones, and I have a lot of sherry butts still on the Solera style setup in the back.
That's
So
where they're stacked, right? Kind of like a triangle kind of thing. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And the idea was you wouldn't fully empty out, you would just top off after taking out what you needed. We fully empty out ours, so it's not very convenient, but it's really pretty to look at. So I have a favorite area for sherries that right now it's got a lot of phenos in, and they're just gorgeous. It's like honey nut Cheerios and jasmine. It's ridiculous. And then there are some really nicely like sheltered areas where I feel like even though it's a little slower, more gentle, what I find more than like this is a honey spot, there's actually a window of time where the whiskey shows better, and that's just like spring and fall for us. I have narrowed it down. I mean, over the years, temperatures are a little bit different, but that's what I've really learned. So I have what I call barrel boot camp. And in those windows, I speed date the casks I've been keeping an eye on, and I make my final calls of, I think you're going to be a single cask, pulling my sample, taking it actually up here to the whiskey war room to do my analysis and say, yes, this one I think goes in this small batch, this one goes in this big blend, this one needs more time. And all of that really gets focused in on during those windows because I want to dump when the whiskey is showing its best.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm diving deeper into this one, and it's so much more. It has such a longer finish than the first two.
Oh, yeah.
It really sits. It's not so dry. It really hangs out.
Yes.
And it really is. It's a wider taste than the other ones, which are just kind of spikes. So
yeah, this one's really decadent.
Delicious bottle. Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, the double cask reserve that you and I have been talking about earlier, same thing. Very decadent, really balanced. We'll just stick with you. And yeah, I love that.
This was a great barrel. This is a great. So, what is coming up next? So you a couple mentions. Which ones are you going to be releasing? So what? We're in January now. Obviously, we're beginning of the year.
Yes.
What are the newest releases coming out?
I've got two brewers coalitions about to roll out. One of them is with Four Hands using their Madagascar stout.
Yeah.
I'm doing a full-on release at that 50% ABV, but I'm doing a small batch of just a few barrels at cask strength.
Okay.
And that has a little bit more of the raspberry component in there. So if you like, I love chocolate and raspberry. Yeah. Very excited about that. I've got Old Rasputin in the works, so that's the other collab that should be rolling out in the first half of this year. And then a cigar blend that I built 2 years ago. It's been very slowly blending and reducing down, and I've been ready to roll with it. And so, yes, we had a lot of fun designing the labels. Our director, well, chief operating officer, he has been like, yeah, we can bottle that anytime. And then Andrew Meisner, who oversees our label design, he just had his eye for what he wanted. And so I think he's finally happy with it. And so it's rare, but sometimes the whiskey is ready before the label. Who knew?
So talk to me about cigar blends. I feel like cigar blends are having a bit of a moment. They've been rising for a while. They've been a trending topic, and it's not necessarily always a well-defined thing, right? So talk to me what a cigar blend is and what made you want to make your own cigar blend.
Yes. So a lot of my training started back in France, and it's been a really big inspiration for me being able to think about what they value and their techniques and styles. And one of my incredible mentors is Nancy Fraley, and she is just this blending genius. And so she's done for a long time with Joseph Magnus and now with Still Austin.
I was going to say, she's still Austin, right? Okay, yeah. Okay.
It's lovely. Yeah. And I have a memory of almost 10 years ago sitting with her at our dining room table working on prototypes that she let me sit in on for Magnus. And it was just really cool to see what she valued. And in France, especially in the cognac world, and Armagnac, which Armagnac is one of my first loves. Okay. What is this? What is the focus? And a lot of people have the take of, well, it's smoke to go with the cigar. Not true at all. My focus point, and what Nancy would always speak to, is it's about the fatty lipids in the mouthfeel, the viscosity that will coat your tongue. It's about the harmony and the balance that you achieve. You don't need to smoke a cigar. I think it's about putting yourself in that place and being able to really pay homage to that. So for me, I definitely have a little whiff of smoke coming through as a playful nod to the cigar. Sure. But it's about the mouthfeel and the depth and the richness that can really stand up to it.
You're going for more of is it more like a red stone, more like a broader red, almost like a wine, like a Cabernet open up kind of flavor, or is it?
There's some, I would say, more tannic, more depth, and decadence. You get more of a coffee leatheriness to it almost. Okay. There is some red fruit in there for sure. Okay. That's part of my POV. The orchard fruit still needs to shine, and also I think that comes into some of the wine characteristics that you will see. But there's a lot more Spanish oak. So that's instead of a lot of our casks are Quercus alba or American white oak, there's Quercus robur in there. So much more gnarled and tannic, and that's where the Southern coffee comes from.
What was it called?
Quercus robur, R-O-B-U-R.
Okay.
Yep.
Quercus robur.
Yeah, those trees grow gnarled from the roots all the way up the trunk. So you have to be a pretty skilled cooper to do anything with it. And those casks are more rare. So I had some that were over a century old that held with Oloroso and PX Sherry, and really enjoy getting to contribute that component into the blend.
That's cool. I'm finding a picture of Quercus. Oh, yeah, I see. I pulled up a Quercus robur trees. I can see it would be difficult to work with. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
So when you talk about getting to that place, you say you want more of that tan, you want that. You're pulling those in. You're doing your blending, right? You're doing some blending work, and then you're going to put all that into a cask together, or do you blend at the end and that's the product?
I blend at the end. So I have all these individual components, different casks that have been aging, sometimes as little as 6 years, mostly 7, 8, 9, now over 10 years. And so I'm pulling samples, I'll prototype. When I feel good with it, then I will vat those casks, blend it all together, make my final tweaks, get it to the ABV I want. You can guess this is going to be a higher ABV. And yes, then I say go.
Well, along those lines, becoming my own master blender, can we talk about the Draftsmen?
Yes, Draftsmen is
so fun. This is the Draftsmen kit. I'm going to let you talk about it because I think it's a brilliant product, but I also want you to describe it. But I had so much fun with this. And so, if you'll please tell the story of the Draftsmen kits.
I love it. I have to give credit to my colleague Kurt for this one. I've gone out and done blending classes and done things like this for years now, but he was the one who was like, I think we should make this a kit for people so they can do this and pick their own. So the way I blend is very much inspired by Spain and the Solaris. So I have a vatting house. It literally is connected by pipes to the bottling house.
Love it.
So I can get everything the way I want in these vats and ready to go. And I have these components. So I have a big vat that holds whiskey aged in ex-bourbon barrels, one that's aged in sherry, one that's aged in these cuvee casks. And I pull from those to create, and I'm always making sure that they blend well, that every single barrel that goes in works. Yes. So each of those three, it's representing one of those three styles. American Single Malt, aged in just Fino Oloroso and PX casks blended together. I've already reduced it down, so I know it's at a good ABV. If you want to add more water, feel free, but I don't bottle this at anything other than 46%. Because if you want to bring it down to 40, it'll be fine, but I like that higher ABV. But keeping it at that 46%, I control the quality of it and make sure it's ready to roll. And so we let people create their own ratio. It could be, well, you like sherry, I learned from your blend.
Yes, I did like the sherry. I have, let's see here. What was mine? Mine was 10.
I think it's 10% bourbon.
10% bourbon, 30% cuvee, 60% sherry.
Yeah.
Which I thought would be more on the cuvee side because I love the cuvee bottle. But once I got into it, I started making my own blend. I was like, I like the version I made that was higher. So here's the card that comes with it, and then you get to write your own percentage down, and then you jump over to the QR code, and you send in your number, and So when I describe this to people are like, there's no way they're making it one of one because all the economics of this are crazy. They're like, what do you mean they're going to make about now? It has to be in 10% increments, right? So it's not a 47 and a half and this kind of stuff. So there are some controls, but even so, the combinations are still pretty numerous. So you're not sitting on a bunch of bottles that look like these combinations. It must be done custom. But
no, it's all
I went through these
done.
three. Yep. And my favorite part was it does come with a little dropper. So I'm like, I really was like trying to be really scientific, and then I was like, screw it, and I just started pouring them in. And
I don't expect people to always be exact, but I am. So I'm literally over top of a blending room below, and it's a whole setup with the glass beakers full, and they're tightly contained, and it's those three types. So I can pull from those right there the measurements to blends, and then I can do it individually as a bottle. Now, some places like hotels will want their own custom blend as well. And so then it will be much larger, and I will do that in the vatting house with my full equipment and everything. And it's not just me. Dustin Castor, our distillery director, he will help out if I'm gone. There's somebody else to do the blending. Brian Hersey, our selling warehouse manager, he can also do this. So it's not too much to lift, but we'll do it while we're doing other things, like we've got a meeting. And it's fun. I love that people get so geeky about it. And,
I bet. I mean, it's like you don't find it anywhere else. I've been doing stuff for a while. You just don't see anyone doing it. So, hats off to you guys for what I would consider an extremely innovative product. And so, for those of you who would like to get PourMore, has a few left that were exclusive for PourMore. If you comment draft on this live stream or on the reel afterwards, you can get a link to sign up to get one of the few kits that we have left that we worked out with the team to get some just for PourMore people. So comment draft and you can get a version sent to you. Yeah, here's my little bottles here, and made my own mix. So I had a lot of fun with that. That was a fun little experiment, and so hats off to you guys.
Love it. Oh, I see a question. Yep. When are we going to see the 4-grain whiskey? I can tell you about that. It's only for Virginia though. So for the 250th, we were asked to put together a trio pack of a Virginia-made rum, Virginia-made gin, and a Virginia-made whiskey. So working with Virago to do the rum, Mount Defiance for the gin, I took the helm for the whiskey. So I'm working with Catoctin Creek I should have mentioned them earlier. They make an incredible rye. So yes. I'm doing Ironclad and Reservoir for the bourbon and wheat whiskeys. And then in a blind tasting, we selected some American Single Malt from BDC for that component. And so that will be coming out in 375 form only inside a trio pack before the 4th of July.
And that is specifically for the Virginia 250 year. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Is that what is that? That's not bicentennial. It's
Septiquincentennial.
what is it?
Septiquincentennial.
Septiquincentennial. Of course, that's what it is. Yes.
Weird trivia in my head.
Wait. So what are the four grains? What are they going to be again?
Yeah. So malt from Virginia Distilling Company.
Yep.
Rye from Catoctin Creek.
Right.
We have a Bloody Butcher bourbon coming from Ironclad, and the wheat is coming from Reservoir.
There we go.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Amazing lineup. We're about out of time. I know I've had you for a little longer than we've meant to. Our last question I'd like to ask, when you're not drinking your stuff that you work so hard on, what do you love to drink?
I mean, I love single malts from all over the world, including other American single malts. But my first love, other than single malts, tea. I'm a tea fanatic.
Okay.
Yes. I drink so much tea, it's ungodly. Especially oolong right now. I'm really into Taiwanese oolong.
Okay. Are you exacting about your tea standards? Do you have a very specific?
I literally keep a tea journal where I have everything from temperature, duration of steeps, how many steeps I do. I'm so geeky about it.
You are a blender in everything you do. That's exactly what.
It never gets old. Yeah.
This is why you're the director of liquid development. This is what you do. I love that you have a tea journal. That's amazing.
I kept a whiskey journal before, so.
Okay. All right. Well, good.
Now it's just spreadsheets.
You just need journals of everything. Journals and spreadsheets, so you have all your data tracked. And yes.
Yes.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much. Anything else you want to share with us before we go? Any last words about Virginia Distilling or anything else?
Oh, I will say if you want to learn more about the American Single Malt category, we have a free, fun sort of training. It's called ASM Academy. You can go online and you can find it through our website, viadistillery.com, and you can geek out and learn more about single malts from around the world, but mostly American single malts.
ASM Academy?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's asmacademy.com.
ASMacademy.com. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Again, sign up for PourMore. We do monthly releases with partners such as Virginia Distilling. We have whiskey, bourbon, tequila, and scotch that we do every single month. Thank you to Virginia Distilling for helping us feature some really cool bottles for December. We still have a few Draftsmen Kits, so if you want to get those last few that we have, sign up for them. And Amanda, thank you so much for your time and for all your help today.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. I drank all my stuff. Oh, I'll do these ones. Here we go. Cheers.
Little baby bottles.
There we go, the sherry one. Thanks. Bye, everyone.